Here are the top 10 Star Wars ripoffs that went too damn far. And if you know any other blatant Star Wars ripoffs, holler at me and leave a comment. Number 10, The Last Starfighter. In The Last Starfighter, a teenage boy dreams of becoming a star pilot and going off on a journey of good versus evil. Kinda like Luke when he's on Tatooine. But the only flying The Last Starfighter's protagonist has done is playing a video game called The Last Starfighter. Then, a mysterious alien visits him and tells him that the Last Starfighter game is actually a test to see who would be the best pilot in the universe. He subsequently gets whisked away to an interplanetary war. Very, very similar to Star Wars, don't you think? There are lots of parts of The Last Starfighter that are not overtly Star Wars ripoffs. It's set on Earth for a start, and it is a great movie. But the idea of a teenager dreaming of becoming a pilot and getting caught up in a galactic war? Now that is kinda Star Wars-like, isn't it? Battlestar Galactica. Do you remember Battlestar Galactica? Battlestar Galactica is actually a TV series that ran for a single season back in 1978. But despite being a TV series and not a movie, it is nevertheless one of the most blatant Star Wars ripoffs of all time.
They hate us with every fiber of their existence.
This TV series was actually pretty damn good and definitely worth watching. But it was also so much of a Star Wars ripoff that if you watch it, you will end up crawling around on the floor in fits of hysterics. And now they're working on a new Battlestar Galactica movie to follow on from The Force Awakens, coincidentally. But I cannot wait to see it regardless. Masters of the Universe. Alright, hands up. Who still has their Masters of the Universe toys? Masters of the Universe should have been one of the most loved movies of all time. It had absolutely everything going for it. It looked like a dead certainty that Masters of the Universe would be a movie release that would capture audiences in droves, especially given the gargantuan popularity of the toys. But for some bizarre reason that completely boggles my mind to this very day, Masters of the Universe was a total rip-off of Star Wars. I mean, why? Number 7, Galaxina. If you were alive in the 80s, you probably had a crush on Galaxina. Galaxina came to fame because it is the sole starring role of Dorothy Stratham, the Playboy Playmate. She was murdered shortly after the release. Galaxina has pretty decent production values thanks to a healthy budget. That led it to having some excellent alien costumes and special effects. But the screenplay? It's absolutely stuffed full of cliches like your Christmas chicken is stuffed full of stuffing. For instance, there's this spaceship thing called the Infinity. The Infinity, could it be more cliche? But then again, this is a movie starring a Playboy Playmate, so it's not like people watched it for the dramatics now, is it? Dorothy Stratham provides precisely the sort of sexiness you would expect. A level of sexiness that would make even Bikini Leia jealous. And it achieved what it set out to do. It drove male teenagers absolutely wild. I know, I was one of them. Number 6, Hawk the Slayer. Alright, hands up everyone who has dreamed of being Han Solo. Hawk the Slayer is actually a sword and sorcery flick, but it's so full of Star Wars rip-off scenes that it will make you laugh your ass off. Jack Palance plays a character whose helmet is so obviously a knockoff of Darth Vader that it sent tremors through the Force. The only saving grace was that Hawk the Slayer didn't go full rip-off and avoided the father-son relationship that would probably have seen the movie studio sued. But make no mistake, everything else about this flick is a complete Star Wars clone. From Hawk's Han Solo clothing to lightsaber style final battles with swords, the combination of fun characters and Star Wars elements actually makes Hawk's the Slayer worth watching. But come on now, this is a little bit of a rip-off, isn't it? 5. Saturn. What is the biggest flop ever? My choice is Waterworld. Yours? Leave a comment. One movie that totally flopped was Saturn. Saturn was released in 1980 as one of the biggest flops of the year. Surprising, given it had an A-list cast. Kirk Douglas and Harvey Keitel led alongside Farrah Fawcett. You can't get much more star-studded than that. But except for the cast, everything about this movie was total pants. The special effects looked like they were made by a toddler. But thankfully, I am personally a fan of crappy movies, which I call craptacular, and for people like me who enjoy hilariously pants flicks, Saturn is a must-watch. Does that make any sense? That a movie can be so bad that it becomes craptacular and therefore must be watched because it is so hilariously awful. 4. StarCrash. According to the makers, StarCrash was actually conceived and released prior to Star Wars. But if that's the case, you would have thought that these guys would hire a lawyer to take George Lucas to court, because everything about StarCrash is a Star Wars ripoff. Released in 1978, StarCrash stars man-god David Hasselhoff and Christopher Plummer, who plays basically Emperor Palpatine. Dark side. StarCrash is so blatant a Star Wars ripoff that you will be crawling on the floor in fits of laughter. 3. Krull.
On a distant planet, a great kingdom was ravaged by beings who came from the future.
Krull should have been the single greatest movie of all time. Why? Because it's inspired by both Dune and Star Wars, which are pretty much two of the most blatantly amazing films of all time. Krull came out in the 80s and at the time was very popular mostly because it gave the world a glaive. The coolest non-lightsaber weapon of all time, which looks like a ninja star and comes out of a volcano. I want one, please. If you watched this movie back in the 80s, watch it again. Honestly, the level of nostalgia is off the charts. Number 2, Battle Beyond the Stars. The name itself makes it pretty bloody obvious that Battle Beyond the Stars is a Star Wars clone. But to be fair, it is a bloody good Star Wars clone. Roger Corman's Battle Beyond the Stars is an awesome rollercoaster of a flick that Star Wars fans will absolutely love. With special effects by James Cameron, a script by John Sayles, and music by James Homer, you can imagine how flippin' good this is. Number 1, Space Raiders.
The last brave starfighters who become space raiders.
The movie that was inspired by two of my favourite movies of all time, Raiders of the Lost Ark and Star Wars. You know how Serenity became immensely popular because it satisfied everyone jonesing for a Star Wars spin-off? Well, Space Raiders was the same thing back in 1983. If you love B-movies and you're a Star Wars fan, you will absolutely love this movie. It's full of the bad special effects that make B-movie sci-fi so entertaining. And the characters and conflicts are over the top and so much fun. In Space Raiders, a 10-year-old boy is stowed away on a spaceship and taken to a galaxy far, far away, where he meets a band of space pirates. The best thing about Space Raiders is that it's a spiritual successor to Battle Beyond the Stars. That means you can put the popcorn on, put your feet up, and watch Battle Beyond the Stars and Space Raiders back to back. That's the life. I've probably missed a couple of flicks here, but you probably know tons about movies yourself, so go ahead and leave a little comment below. I love reading your comments. Why not tell me the name of the movie that you think is the biggest Star Wars ripoff of all time? Go ahead, comment below.